Hi, I'm Dan Weedin. Welcome to the August 18th Weedin Unleashed live broadcast from my office here outside of Seattle, Washington. I'm glad that you're here joining me, whether you are here live and in person, so to speak, at least virtually, or whether you're watching this at a later date. I thank you for taking part in this and being a participant however you see fit. Before we get started, I'm going to apologize. I do this from my home, and outside my home, one of my neighbors is doing something loudly. I don't know if they're cutting down a tree or doing some weed eating or doing something with the lawn. I can hear them. I hope that you can't. But if that is a distraction, my apologies. Again, one of those things with live television, and they must not have gotten the memo that I was doing this. So go figure. But regardless, I'm happy to be here with you on this day, and we do this every week. Do a Weedin Unleashed as long as I'm in town. Every Monday at noon Pacific time, I will address an issue, a topic, a best practice around something related to helping you in your business, in your career, professionally, personally, all of that. And the topic will come from my Extra Points memo that goes out every Monday morning. And today, Captain Jack, my Jack Russell Terrier, who is also my co-author on my book Unleashed, he wrote a guest column this month, and we're going to talk a little bit about it. He was a little bit shy in talking to everybody, so I'm going to be his representative for that. Before we get started in earnest, I see we've got some people now popping on. I will give some of the, they're not really ground rules, but some of the logistics about this. My Weedin Unleashed is a live virtual video broadcast. I hope you come and join us every Monday at at noon Pacific. Tell your friends, tell your colleagues, tell your peers. You'll have a chance. Oh, you know what I forgot to do? I forgot to put up the questions and answers. They're up now. You have a chance to interact with me. You should be able to see that on the right-hand side of your screen. It says that you can make some comments, you can have some questions. This is your opportunity to interact with me. This is recorded. Many of you might be watching this as a recording, so if you miss it live or you want to watch it again after taking part, you have that opportunity, and you can go to and watch all of the prior videos at www.danweedin.tv. So with that, why don't we go ahead and get started, and we'll talk about today's Extra Points memo. Again, was written as a guest blog by Captain Jack. I did the typing for him, but he told me what to say. So here's the deal. It just happened on Saturday. I was taking Captain Jack out for a walk. Beautiful day here in the Puget Sound, and he had a great walk. We were just coming in and almost just tripped right over him. It's like, what's going on? He's usually right in front of me. So I turned around to see why he had stopped, and I found, it was about this big, little green gardener snake in his mouth. If you don't know it, Jack Russell Terriers are bred to dig out rodents and snakes and things like that, and he had been very quick and caught one. So I gave 3 quick tugs to unloosen from the vice grip he had. The snake fell down to the ground, kind of in the gravel area by where I turn on the water, and you could tell that snake had been writhing in pain. I probably should have put it out of its misery, but I thought he hadn't been in there long enough that he would survive. It appears after a day or so he did not survive, and so I put him back in the junipers where he should have stayed to begin with. I tell the story because Captain Jack loves to catch snakes. I call him the pirate dog snake hunter, and he likes to catch snakes, and he's very good at it. And in today's Extra Points, he gave you three steps on how to catch snakes. And I think what we can do with that is transfer them over into your business. So number one is, if you're going to be catching snakes, you have to have a passion for catching snakes. You have to really love doing it. let's face it, if you don't love what you're doing, you're really at best going to be mediocre at it. I know there are many people out in the world who get up kind of groaning. It's like, oh, it's another Monday. You know, if they're coming today, it's another Monday, back to the old salt mines, and not really happy because what they're doing, they don't have a passion for. Maybe they did at one time, but they no longer do. And so that passion turns into a burden. And whenever your job and your career become a burden, you need to take a really hard assessment of your situation, because it can't be that. You have to have an honest love and passion for what you're doing, because what you're giving to somebody else, whatever product or service that is, you have to be sold on it. And if you don't have a passion and you don't love it, why would anybody else do that? So Captain Jack said, number one, you have to have a passion for catching snakes. I know my daughters do not have a passion for catching snakes, and so they will never be snake hunters. You undoubtedly don't have a passion for catching snakes, but dogs do. Step number two is you have to be able to go to where they live to catch them. You know, Captain Jack thought, well, they're not in trees. Well, in the jungle, they're in trees. But let's face it, snakes, at least around the Puget Sound area, live in the junipers, live in the bushes, you know, kind of come out from crawling out under rocks, that type of thing. Well, if you're going to be going and catching snakes, you need to be able to be, you know, to be where they live. Apologize, my phone's going off. I'm not going to answer that. I'll let them go to voicemail. So you need to go where they live. Well, if you're in business and you are seeking out new clients, you need to go to where they live. And here's how you influence them. You find out what it is they read. Are they reading publications that are germane to their industry? Are they reading publications and journals that help them to improve professionally or help them in other ways, and they're reading that magazine? So, you know, business leaders in the Seattle area are probably reading Seattle Business or the Puget Sound Business Journal. Can you get an article in one of those? Have you tried? Can you find a way to offer some value where they can read that? Where do they go to see people speak? Do they go to conferences? Do they have peer groups? Do they have buying groups that they're part of? Can you find yourself in front of one of those groups speaking on whatever it is that you speak on that you can give them some immediate value? So they might walk up to you after and say, hey, you and I, we need to talk. You know, so are you in front of them? One of the things I wrote on, one of the blogs I wrote recently, involved email. And the problem with email that I see happening, especially if you are a professional service provider and you have to go out and find people to offer your services to, email is easily deleted. And, you know, it's a good thing to send out. It's a good thing to have newsletters once in a while and memos and things like that. But from a regular business standpoint, emails are about information and information only. If you're really trying to influence somebody, if you really want to be in front of them, give them a call. They might be shocked. They have to pick up their phone. But give them a call, leave a voicemail if you have to, but find ways to get in front of people. Give them a call, see if you can set up a meeting. Talk to them, find out what's going on. Call on clients that haven't used you for a while or who are former clients. Find out what's new in their life, in their business. Find out ways that you can help them. People want to be able to see you eye to eye. I had a client recently say, when can you come over? I want to look you eye to eye. Okay, we can do that. Or we can actually even do this. If you have clients all over the globe, what I'm doing with you right now is looking you eye to eye. So the reality is you've got to be in front of the people that you're trying to serve. They've got to know where you are. They've got to be able to access you. They should be reading your blogs and your articles and your columns. They should be seeing you speak, whether it's live or on video. You should be making appointments to sit down and have a cup of coffee or a lunch with them. So you've got to see people. Emails doesn't work in that regard. So number one, let's go back. Oh, you have to have a passion. Number two, you've got to be in front of them. And then number three is, I kind of call this a be in the moment type thing. You have to be able to be in the moment, and you have to be able to service their needs in the moment. So that means you have to keep up on whatever it is that you do, you've got to be cutting edge. You've got to be really good at whatever value you're providing. So whatever professional development that you need in order to be relevant and to have great content for them to be able to be credible in what you're doing, you've got to have that. And the reality is that some people kind of forget that at times, and they slough off and they don't stay up with whatever is current in their industry or in their business. And when that opportunity does arise, they're not prepared and ready to go. Captain Jack brings that up is because he practices his snatch and grab skills all the time with the pillows on the sofa. So he's ready when that snake comes out. He's as quick as a bunny and able to pull those out of the junipers, those snakes out of the junipers. So Captain Jack tells us, number one, you got to have a passion for catching snakes. Number two, you got to go to where the snakes live if you're going to catch them. Number three, you'd better be skilled at what you're doing. The same is true for you in your business. I don't care what you do, whether you're making a product, whether you are a professional service provider, whether you're a speaker, you're a writer, consultant, whatever it is. Those three things. Number one is you have to have a passion for what you're doing. You have to love what you're doing. You have to truly believe that you're giving great value to other people, to organizations, to businesses, however you're working at. Number two, they got to know you exist, and that's your responsibility. That means you've got to go to the places that they're influenced. Write, speak, network, show up, have meetings, do things where you're making sure that you're in front of them. And just as I'm doing now, virtual works as well. And I'm going to ask anybody who has any questions or comments. We can do this right now. Go ahead and use that bar off to the right-hand side if you'd like to ask me a question or have a comment on anything I've talked about. And then number three, you've got to be good at what you do. You've got to have some credibility. You've got to have some sophistication. You've got to have the smarts. What I've found in working with a lot of service providers, especially consultants, is that the smarts is no problem. You've got lots of that. In fact, you fall in love maybe too much with your methodology as opposed to the value that you provide. And so you get caught into that, and that can be its own little trap in and of itself. But you have to have all three. If you're missing one, it's not going to work. If you're missing the passion, you're going to be mediocre because, quite frankly, you don't care enough. If you don't have the skill level, you're not going to last very long because people are going to find out that you're not good at what you do. You can't deliver the goods. And if you're not out seeing people, if you're not getting face-to-face in front of people and going to where they live, you're going to have no prospect pipeline at all. And pretty soon, that's going to wither up and die away. So you need all three. So I've been rambling on now for, looks like, just about 15 minutes. I think Captain Jack would be proud. I know I have at least one viewer out there, and if you have a question, great. If not, that's fine too. I hope that many of you who are watching this are gaining value. If you have a question, after this event is all over, if you're watching this a couple days later or later on today, and you have a question, you have a comment, Dan@danweedin.com, DANWEEDIN. Dan@danweedin.com is a place you can go on the email. You can send me a quick question. I'd be happy to respond to you. And it can be about what we talked about today, or it can be one of the other messages I put out there, but I'm happy to do that. So I'm throwing it out to you here. Looks like it could be a short broadcast today. We'll see. I know in August, people get going on vacations and try to catch in that last time before kids go back to school. My kids aren't going back to school. That's kind of cool. They're all done. Many of you might be in that position and take vacations at a different time. So that's me stalling a little bit, seeing if anybody has anything to say. With that, what I think I'll do is just remind you that I'll be back and doing this again a week from today, noon Pacific time. If you're not getting my Extra Points newsletter, email me at dan@danweedin.com or go to my website and sign up. Would love to have you be part of that. If you connect with me on Google, you'll get an automatic reminder about these. Google broadcasts are live, pretty much unedited, as you'll see in some of my other works. So even if there's something going on outside, you're going to be part of that live. So anyway, come join us. I hope you'll be part of this. Share this with your colleagues and your peers and your friends if you think it's something that would be of value to them. So final thoughts from Captain Jack this week. Number one, if you're out snake hunting or hunting for whatever new business, new acquisitions, new clients that you want to bring in and you want to be able to help, if you're looking for people to add to your clientele list, remember, number one, you have to have a passion for what you do. Number two is you got to go to where they live and express that to them. Number three is you got to deliver the goods. You've got to be good at what you do. So with that, 15 minutes today. This will be up and live here actually very shortly. I'll probably have to make some quick edits to the lighting because I see it's not quite as bright as I'd like it to be, but that won't take very long. I want to thank you for being here, whether you were live or whether you're watching it later. Come back and join us again next week. Until then, I wish you a great week. Ciao.